Hello and welcome back to part 5 with Ilene Dillon. This is Light Up Vishwa podcast that you're watching or listening. I hope you have watched or listened to all the previous conversations with Ilene Dillon. If you haven't, please do so. You can find this podcast on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Castbox, and also on YouTube channel and the Groton channel. You can find the links on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I hope you have subscribed to the channel. If you haven't, please do so. Leave a comment or two, send your feedback. You can go to my website, lightupvichwa.com, browse through it, see what you like, and let me know what you think. You can also write to Ilene Dillon and visit her website, and she will be happy to answer any of your questions that you have found in these conversations, or if you have any other. So stay tuned for more, and thank you for watching or listening Light Up Vichwa podcast. Take care. Anything before I ask you my last question about the environment you would like to share or say?
Well, to parents who are listening, teach your children to pick up their trash or to give their trash to you. That is one of the things that I think is a simple thing to do. And over the years, I've noticed, you know how many mothers will have the kid return trash and they'll put it in their purse, right? Mm-hmm. Other people don't teach their children to do that. And it's a pattern, a habit that gets set up for a lifetime. And we need to love our mother. When I was telling you the other story, during my 30s, one day all the trouble that I went to and the ways I compromised myself in order not to be an orphan, because my father was away in the war when I was born and didn't meet him till I was almost 3 years old. And my birth mother was taken away from me at that same time, and I never saw her again. So, or I was taken away from her, actually. And so I worked really hard not to be an orphan. And there I was in my 30s feeling like an orphan. And this woman I had known for a long time turns out to be one of my best friends for about 40 years now. She went through my husband's illness and death living in our home with us for 5 years. Fantastic. At any rate, she called me right at that time. And I told her, I'm feeling like I'm sobbing, and she started laughing. Now, I'm a gardener, and I always had a garden. She started laughing, and she said, isn't it incredible? A person who works in the earth all the time, who takes joy from working in the earth, and you're crying because you don't have a parent? You're crying because you're an orphan. She said, I think you're thinking too small. You're thinking that some person has to be your parent, and all you really need to do is claim the earth as your parent. And she suggested I go out to the beach, which I didn't live too far from, and take off my shoes and walk in the sand and connect to the earth. And I fully intended to do that. And there was a huge storm and the bottom fell out and I didn't want to go out in it. So I went to my bed and I lay on the bed and I imagined doing it, right? And I never felt like an orphan again. I claimed the earth as my mother. The earth is a living being.
Yeah, and it has more to offer, actually. Everything, actually, to offer.
And we need to love her, and we need to take care of her. And, just like you were saying, do you exercise and you eat the right foods? We need to do that for the earth. We need to love her so she can love us back. And all the climate change stuff that we're going through right now, she's having a hard time loving us back. And we're the consequence. Yes. Remember, the lesson is there, but we're not learning the lesson. And the consequences are getting worse and worse and worse and worse. We need to learn our lesson about loving the earth. Yes. That's my proclamation.
Thank you. It's meant to be now.
I would like to point out to people that my book, we've had to put it back through the publication process, but it should be out within the month. late October, early November.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Emotions in Motion. And we have a feature that's very much like what I have done here on the show. I call it From My Personal Laboratory. Since we're all in school, I consider that my life is my personal laboratory. So I do tell stories like this of what I have learned, and then I invite my reader to explore their personal laboratory in the same area.
Mm.
And we also have 12 different emotions and emotional states, and what their message is and how to work with it and how to partner with emotions. It's my opus. I'm
Okay.
very happy with it.
Thank you and congratulations for the book, and looking forward to read it. And it's going to be published soon.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
and it'll be on Amazon,
Okay.
and we'll have the announcement on my website, which you're
Okay.
going to list.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. Anything you would like to say? Anything that you felt? Anything you explored? What made you decide you have so much to do that, okay, let me give this lady some time to talk?
Well, what I would share with you is that what I have come to from working with with the emotions that come up in me is I've come to the point where I live my life by following my heart.
Hmm.
So ideally, our head and our heart are to be in balance with one another. And I think marrying a brain surgeon was part of creating that for myself.
Yeah.
You know, he helped me to be better with my brain. I helped him to be better with his emotions. And so I have learned, because I've done this for so many years, I have learned that I can rely on myself. If I read an invitation from somebody like you and I get a good feeling about it, I can rely on that. I will respond and I will do it. I do the same in terms of planning my trip, so called. Where would I like to go? What's going to make me feel better? How long would I like to stay here? And I do things like my granddaughter, my 10-year-old granddaughter, and I went to Grand Canyon together. She came for a 2-week stay with me last year in my van. And we were in a free place to camp, and we were doing our evening thing. And this van with a ton of people came and took part of our space, which was their right, but, it sort of at first felt a little crowded. These 13 people get out of this van. And my granddaughter and I were just finishing up our dinner, and I said, I have a really strong feeling I need to go welcome our neighbors to this neighborhood. So I'm going to go talk to the people that came in on the van. Would you like to come with me? So I went there, and these people were from Czechoslovakia, and they were traveling to all the national parks in the States that they could get to within the time that they had. And there was only one person among them who could speak English, and she was training to be a psychotherapist. Got it?
Oh,
So,
wow.
so my message is live your life that way.
Hmm.
Listen to your heart. Listen to your intuition. Learn to test it, to trust it.
Yeah.
Check it out. If you have a feeling about something, ask somebody if it's true or not. You know, let's live from our hearts. That's the best way to do anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So usually I ask my last question, which is to everybody, and that is, what lights you up?
Talking with people like this, for one thing.
Thank you.
So we have this whole issue that we haven't learned our lesson, and so things on the earth, the lessons that we have regarding the earth, are getting harsher and harsher. And so what lights me up is that we realize we have things to learn, and we turn and embrace, whether we're talking our political situation or our climate situation or our personal situation. We have things to learn, and as soon as we learn them, the lessons will be finished.
Hmm.
If I could, it lights me up to tell somebody that and have them hear me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.